It's quarantine. Hello, records. I'm reporting to you live from FanX in Salt Lake City, and I am here with an amazing guest. I am here with one of the many alumni from Avatar: The Last Airbender, the star of The Legend of Korra herself, Janet Varney. She's also a podcaster, a host of the Janet Varney Club, and co-host of the Avatar Braving the Elements podcast, and so many more. And she's also co-founder of the SF Sketchfest, set to return on January 19th, 2024. And Janet Varney, welcome to my show. How are you doing?
Oh my goodness, I am so good. I can't believe you remembered all those facts. As you were saying them, I was like, I have too much going on. Yeah. But no, I'm so excited to be here. FanX is amazing. This is my first time doing this con, and everyone was like, oh, this is a great con. And it's been a complete joy. I can't believe we're here. They shut the lights out on us because we've been here so long because all the people are so wonderful and we just want to hang. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for making the time. Anyway, let's talk about some of your humble beginnings. Where did your appetite for comedy came from?
Oh, sure. Well, I would say that I was very lucky to grow up with a dad who was an English teacher, a senior English honors, but also extremely funny, did all the Muppet voices for me, did all the Sesame Street voices, and we used to goof around a lot. And so I always felt very encouraged that, like, comedy was a great outlet and it's a great defense mechanism in some cases. And but I didn't really pursue comedy professionally until I was in my 20s. I kind of always thought, like, I was very insecure, and I thought, well, it's fun to be like the funny friend, but what if you try to do it and then people are like, oh no, you're not funny. Yeah. So it took me a long time to get the courage up.
Yeah, and I actually want to talk about that courage. Can you talk about what's so special about SF State's, brown bag company theater?
Well, don't be mad at me, but I was never in Brown Bag. My partners were, and they would put on whole productions. But I was working. I had to put myself through school. After my first couple of years, I had a full ride in state in Arizona, but I wanted to live in San Francisco. So I was working full time and going to school part time. So all my drama classes, by the time I got to state, were just the different bits and pieces like history and stuff. But SF State has brought around a lot of good folks, a lot of good actors, a lot of good.
Yeah, and especially how that all of that seemed to have led to you co-founding SF Sketchfest. Like, what is one of your greatest accomplishments with running that show?
Oh my gosh. Wow, we've had so many dreams come true. We've had the Kids in the Hall multiple times. We've had Mr. Show a bunch. We've had the State. But one of my favorite moments was when we showed Harold and Maude at the Castro Theater, which is like this historic, beautiful theater. The film was partially shot there. We had Bud Cort, who plays Harold, and I got to do a conversation with him on stage, and he got the standing ovation, and I started crying because it's one of my favorite movies. So that was one of those, like, pinch me. I got to, like, make a magical thing happen that, I can't believe I got to do.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen that. And especially with it coming around next year, is there anything you want to tease, or you got nothing yet?
Well, we have a bunch of shows confirmed, but we're not announcing yet. But I would definitely say if you go back and look at our past rosters, if you look at our past shows, you'll get a really good sense of, like, how much we have going on and what you can kind of expect for this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be looking forward to it because I'm actually local in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also of the JV club, like, you talk a lot of guests about their awkward teenage years. What is it about that phase of life that resonates so well with you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think, first of all, who among us isn't totally vulnerable and just kind of, like, lost and figuring out who we are when we're teenagers? And sometimes that never really goes away. And so I think it's a wonderful way to get to know people because usually you have enough distance from it that you can have a sense of humor about it, but it's also very personal. But it's not like yesterday personal. So it's like you feel more willing to kind of share that stuff. So it gives you a better window into someone's heart, I think, without pushing them for personal information today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Even I myself, I've been opening up more about the kind of Peter Parker dork I was in high school. And if only high school me could see me now, like, being able to talk to someone like yourself.
Yes, exactly. I feel that way all the time, just being in the company of all my heroes.
Yeah, me too. And also, like, going through your podcast, like 400 episodes, I thought one of the few that stood out to me was having a young Jennette McCurdy, because you two actually got to work together. What was that experience like?
We did. We got to do a movie for Nickelodeon called Best Player, and she played my daughter, and I think we figured out that I would have had to have been 15 when I had her, but we don't talk about that in the movie. No, but she's amazing, and it's been so amazing to see her evolution through the last few years and what she's gone through, and she's so fierce and so wonderful and just so compassionate. So I love her, and I love that we got to work together.
Do you hope to invite her for SF Sketchfest?
She's welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and also, well, of course, the Korra fans will hate me if I don't bring up this, but of course, it was your first experience about doing voice acting. How did it feel like stepping into that world of work?
It was amazing. I had done a little bit of voiceover, but I hadn't done anything as big as Korra, and I love the Avatar verse, and so it was very scary to get to be a part of it and not want to do it any injustice. So I kept worrying that I was going to get fired because I just loved it so much, and Hollywood sort of teaches you, like, don't get attached to anything, like, you never know. So I've never taken it for granted, I promise you that.
Yeah, and also talking about that, like how challenging was it for you to get into her mindset after her battle with Shahir? Because that was like, whoa, very intense.
Believe it or not, even though it was not that hard, I've definitely gone through some stuff. I know a lot of people have. That's been one of the most amazing things about doing cons and meeting people and hearing about their own experiences. Many people who served in the military or just had real life experiences that were, very hard for them. Where you feel like, what am I if I don't have this? What am I if I can't walk? Who I am if I can't fight? And so, for me, it was very easy to tap into that place where you have to kind of get to know yourself again and find that strength, and it makes you stronger.
Yeah, and especially like towards the end of the show where we finally learned about Korra's like own identity. That did any of that help resonate with you? Like even later after your work on the show?
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. I mean, again, that part of it was very close and personal to my heart. And then when Korra kind of went through, she and Asami realized that they loved each other. I am a person who's been very out, very bi, very queer for my whole life, and so having that representation was huge to be a part of, especially seeing all the stuff that's come since. To be part of a continuum is like the greatest gift I could ever get.
And that was very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with Janet. And now, on a final note, with Avatar Braving the Elements podcast, we're kind of almost near the end of the original series. What do you hope to do with the podcast beyond?
Well, as you can imagine, there's a ton of stuff yet to be talked about. We haven't talked about the graphic novels. We haven't talked about a lot of the comics. We haven't talked about Korra. And then there's all this new content coming out. So with any luck, I will be talking about the Avatarverse for many, many, many years to come. I will certainly show up for it.
Anyway, like you kind of mentioned that you don't want to reprise the role because you think it would be better for a person of color to assume the role, which we do seem important, but so many of the fans they don't want to see you go, but do you still hope to be involved with the character as a core ambassador?
I will always be an ambassador for the Avatarverse. That's one of the reasons I do Braving the Elements, is that I will show up for it as a fan to talk about the lore, to talk about the philosophy of it, and to fan out with everybody else, as long as they'll let me do it. And, I got to be a Wonder Woman at one point too, and I'm so excited to see what the next Korra brings.
Anyway, thank you so much for sharing this with us, Jenna. And of course, actors are currently on strike, and it's kind of seemed to be holding a lot of actors back. What do you hope the outcome comes in a positive way?
Oh, well, I just really hope that this is part of, again, kind of a continuum, that this is, we are part of a much larger labor movement, and I think the pandemic really helped kind of wake us up a little bit about a lot of different things, and it makes me really happy to see that people understand their value better and are demanding the respect and the pay and the acknowledgement that they deserve, and that stretches far beyond actors.
Anyway, we got to continue fighting the battle and keep having our voices heard. Anyway, on a final note, Janet, anything else you would like to promote, like if you're allowed to?
I think that's it. We talked about the stuff I can talk about, and I'm so excited to stay part of the Avatarverse in some way or another.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, Recorders. Thank you so much, Janet, for your time. Please follow her on all her social medias. And hey, maybe she'll be at convention even next year. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button, comment down below, give me a like. And remember, I'm available on Cameo. Ooh, Janet, are you available on Cameo?
I am.
Yeah. Well, purchase a shout out from either one of us and catch you next time.